I'm Luisa. I'm from Wales, in Brazil. What was it like writing for Marvel Rivals as opposed to Final Fantasy, for example? Is it different for a story where there are superheroes in the center?
Yeah, so for Rivals, I'm working with like Masahiro Aoki, my dear friend. He's writing music, and I'm doing a lot of things too. And for Rivals or any Marvel games, the superhero games, like it has to sound big and it has to tell a story. And it's sort of like a crossover. It's not just a video game. And then when people hear about Marvel, people think about the characters, people think about movies, and it's just whole thing, right? And so you want it to sound big, but at the same time, you want it to be like very emotional too. Whereas like the pure games, like Final Fantasy and other things, I think it's just a little bit more like there's a distinct sound for Final Fantasy, so you kind of have to go with that. But for Rivals, like every character has different theme, and but it's a battle game, so like it kind of has to be big, and it has to be Hollywood, almost like but yeah, and also the quality has to be like incredibly high because you cannot do like something like you can't compromise. Like we had to go all the way, and I guess it works out fine. But yeah, like it's you have to think a lot about what the fans would expect.
Yeah, and when you have that many, how do you say, requirements, because you have to, there's already an identity for the sound of Marvel movies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that make it easier or harder to create a new soundtrack?
I think I mean, it's a little bit of both. It's certainly easier because you know what fans want already. You know what kind of sound you're going for. But yeah, like whereas like when you're writing for new game, completely a new video game or like an anime or anything, you just don't know what it's going to be like. There are just so many mysteries. But yeah, like it's definitely a little bit easier in that sense. But the hard part is like it has to be good, like really, really good. It has to like, it cannot be just good. It has to be great, and so that's a challenge. Of course, you cannot compromise ever for any gigs, but especially for Marvel, like your motivation and also your mentality is like a little different. Like you're going into something like just such a known brand, and it has to be good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is not your first time in Brazil. You were just here for BGS, right? At this point, what do you expect when you come here for an event to interact with fans? What are your expectations?
My expectation is great food and just great people, just great culture in general. Like, I was talking to somebody else about this too, but my hometown is Okinawa. I'm from Okinawa, and Okinawa and Brazil have a lot of things in common. I think people generally think and act the similar ways, and I find it very comfortable. And yeah, so coming over here, it feels like it's almost like coming over to second home, and it's nice. It's great.
I see you interacting with people online. It feels like you have some inside jokes with Brazilian fans, right?
Yes, and I post stupid stuff online all the time, and yes, I know the jokes about things in Brazil that I should not say in this event, but yes, yeah, it's fun.
Right. Do you maintain like an interaction with Brazilian fans, knowing you'll come here and meet them? Do you ever like see someone live that you have interacted with online before at that?
I mean, yeah, because like people come over to events and like they see me and like they say like, oh, I'm so and so. I'm like, okay, that's great. And but I think one thing I found about I realized about Brazilians is or was you can't take jokes seriously. Like I think people want to have fun in general, and so like when you're throwing a joke, you throw a joke back, and that's how it is, and that's how I am by nature too. So it's easy. That's very normal to me, and I have a good time.
Also, that's it for my questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked?
No, I thank you for the interview, the opportunity, and it's always great to be here in Brazil, and especially this time I'm very excited that like I'm here for a different reason like than usual because I go to Brazil Game Show a lot. But yeah, like coming over to different event D23 in Brazil, it's the first one in Brazil. It's amazing to be here, and also being able to promote the game I'm working on, Marvel Rivals. It's awesome, and it's a great game, like really, really fantastic game. and the soundtrack is amazing. I can assure you this, like, soundtrack is incredible.
Also, very excited to hear it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow.